Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about Lot offering his daughters up to the homosexual rape squad that's surrounded his house. Now, atheists love to point this out as being a great example of why the Old Testament is such a terrible book, why the Old Testament God is such a terrible God. But basically, I'm going to explain some things here that kind of maybe the atheists have overlooked. If you haven't read this, you might look it up now. It's in Genesis 19. Basically, what happened is this: Lot has given sanctuary to two strangers that arrived in town. He has brought them back to his home, and he's given them supper, and he's given them a place to sleep for the night. Unfortunately, an angry mob of homosexual men has showed up outside his house, and they're demanding that Lot send out the two strangers so they can rape them. Now, Lot goes outside and talks to these men, and the issue here, of course, is what he does. Lot offers this large group of men his daughters in place of these two strange men. Now, the reason behind this isn't totally clear, but if you look at what scholars for hundreds of years have said, is it basically is connected to the custom of hospitality. Now, the custom of hospitality is from the Middle East. It's very ancient, and it says basically this. It says that if you give someone sanctuary in your home, you must protect them at all costs, even if it costs you the life of your own life and the life of your family. And so that is what the scholars say Lot was doing. He was protecting these men at all costs from this angry crowd outside. And that very well may be the case. But I'm going to offer you some other reasons why Lot may have engaged in offering his daughters. And the first one would be it could have been very well be that he was stalling for time. Basically, Lot was very wealthy. He had lots of employees, and he could have well been talking to the crowd, trying to stall them long enough that some kind of aid could come from these employees of his. Also could be that he was stalling for time in hopes that his son-in-laws would show up. Basically, these same two daughters that he offered up had been engaged in the process of being married off. So in other words, there's two son-in-laws out there somewhere. And if they were not in that group, hopefully they would show up, and he's waiting for these men to show up to offer some kind of help. Now, if they were in the group, the fact that he offered the two daughters up, maybe Lot was hoping to, I guess you'd say, provoke them into some kind of action. Now, the other thing Lot could have been trying to do was he knew the two men he gave sanctuary to were angels. And if they're angels, he could have merely been waiting or hoping that they were going to kick in and do their angel stuff, right? Which eventually they did. Now, there is some support to this because in the passage, what we see is Lot is trying to talk these men out of committing these acts of rape. And so we see Lot actually trying to, if you look at the passage correctly in one way, you can see Lot is trying to get these men to repent, to return, or to turn from the proposed course of action. He's trying to get them to back off, to leave him and his guest alone. Otherwise, they were going to face destruction. Of course, they didn't back off, and later on, that's what happens to them. Finally, I'm going to argue that when Lot offered his daughters to these men, there wasn't any grave danger there. Basically, what I'm saying is this was a homosexual mob. They weren't interested in women. So when Lot offers his two daughters up, there's an argument there that the fact they were homosexuals meant that there's no actual threat to his two daughters, right? How many times have you heard a true homosexual has no desire at all for women? And so these women were not going to be raped. His two daughters were not going to be raped by a bunch of homosexuals. And so when Lot did this, he did so knowing that these people were not going to rape his daughters. And that kind of lends a little bit of credence to this idea he was stalling, that he's stalling for help or stalling for time. I hope you found something useful here today. Check out my other YouTube videos, and hopefully there's some other topics there that I can help explain. Thanks.